Yes, I've begun recording this session, and can I know as to how many people have attended the previous session that I had conducted, the introduction session? You can unmute yourself.
I didn't Bhaiya.
Sir, I was there.
Okay.
I did,
I
Bhaiya.
wasn't there.
Okay. If your internet is not that good, then you can choose to turn off your cameras. Okay. Jashanpreet Kaur says I did not attend. Okay. Fine. So for those who haven't attended the session and for those who will be watching this video on YouTube, I am going to introduce myself. I'm Avanish and I am a first year student of law at NALSAR, Hyderabad. I secured an All India rank of 101 in CLAT 2021 and an All India rank of 44 in ALET, which is finally UT in 2021 as well. So can we begin with the session? Does anyone know what we're going to be studying today? I hope you've read the excerpts from the book that I sent you.
Contract.
Yes, contracts. So before we begin with the substance of the Indian Contract Act and what contracts are and all of that, can you guys tell me what your idea of a contractual obligation or a contract is basically? Like from the perspective of someone who does not know the law, can you tell me what you think a contract is from what you've heard in movies or in the common parlance? Contract is like
Yeah.
a agreement between two peoples, but two person. Okay. Okay. Mohita and Mutafiq Alam Khan have raised their. So Mohita can speak first. Okay. Whoever can unmute and speak first.
So contract is like an agreement with legal enforceability. Like when we say agreement, it is not always specific. It
Can you
can
give
be
me an
an
example?
the
Can you give
object,
me an example of a contract?
like if we agree to sell or purchase, like something between us, transaction. Like I want to sell my car to you, and you unconditionally agree to it. Then
Okay.
I can say that we are into a contract.
Unconditionally agree means if I say I don't want a black
Like
car, I want a blue car. That's a condition.
then we cannot say that the contract has been concluded. Like if I offer you something and it is legally binding and you unconditionally agree to it, then it is a contract.
Has anyone
Basically, it
heard?
is a more of a
Yeah, you continue.
no. I'm okay.
Okay, thank you. So you said a few things that are relevant to this lecture that I will be discussing, but has anyone heard of what a supari is? In Bollywood movies, they say supari lagaiye. So what's a supari? Can someone unmute
Ransom.
it?
Hiring a hitman.
Hiring a hitman. Who else? Yes, Chitrankshit. You can unmute yourself.
I answered it, Bhaiya.
Okay, okay. Anyone else who wants to clear our understanding of what a supari is? So, a supari is basically a contract for killing someone. But is it a contract in the legal sense? Is what we're going to know in this class. Chitrankshit very rightly
No.
disagrees with that statement that it can't be a contract. But yes, we are going to discuss that. But then why is it called a contract? If it's not legal and uh, Mutakif had said that it has to be a legal agreement to be a contract, then why is it called a contract?
When we say
And
legal agreement,
I would like you not to type. I mean, it's a very stupid thing because that won't be recorded unless I share my screen. And if you want to contribute to the class, then you should have the ability to say it in front of other people, so I can question you and check whether you actually believe these things or not. Yes, whoever can unmute and say why it's called a contract.
I think there's
It is
agreement and also meeting of minds between two or more person to kill a particular person. So that's why
Okay.
it's known as a
So you think that it's a misnomer in the legal sense, but in the general sense, it is a contract. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen and begin with the PPT. Can you see my PPT?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, it's visible.
Yes.
So we talked
Yes,
about
Priya.
the meaning of a contract in the general parlance. Why do I say general parlance? Because a lot of people refer to that arrangement of killing someone, the supari, as a contract killing and all of that. So in the general parlance, what you think is a contract is not a contract in the legal sense. And that is an idea that was clarified quite well by all of you. So can someone tell me why we need these contracts? As Muttaqif said, that we need a contract to be legal, that it has to have a backing by law. Can someone explain as to why we need to have backing of law to have like an agreement between two normal people? If I want to buy chips, why do I need to involve the state in it?
Maybe to avoid some kind of fraud.
To ensure the contract is fulfilled in case either of the person or in case either the person are unjust.
Okay, so you think
Yeah, because
wait a minute. You think you said unjust. You think the court gets into whether it is a justified contract or an unjustified contract?
By unjust, I mean, if one of the person goes against the law, so to
Okay,
ensure the
against the
consequences
laws.
of that.
Fine. That is
Yeah.
I will, in the course of our lectures, I think one thing that will be clarified to you is that laws are not necessarily just, and justice and law are two different things. So I think the next time you use the word legal and not just, the next time you say something. So yes, Neha, have you have a
yes, Bhaiya, because human psychology is ever changing, we need a contract to make sure that a person remains on his or her words, so they don't change afterwards. So any
whose
fraud can be
psychology is
prevented
changing?
out. Human psychology,
Human.
we
Okay.
as a human are, yes,
So
Priya.
if it's changing, then why do you have general principles that apply all the time? Shouldn't the law follow the humans and not the other way around? That's a tough question. I don't expect you to know the answer. I don't either. It's a debate that is going on in the academia, legal academia, since centuries, I believe. So that argument is not that strong, although some people might believe that that's the reason, but that's not the primary reason. The primary reason is, like many of you said, some people might back off from their promises. And if you don't have a legal backing to say that between two people that, okay, we have an agreement, but whether that'll be implemented or not is a highly speculative activity, because we don't know whether it will actually transpire or not. So that's why I believe that the legislature, the British that introduced the Contract Act in India, they had this in their mind that you need to give the people who are transacting some kind of surety that if they have intentions to enter into legal relations, that their intentions will lead to fruition and that the state will support these activities from being enforced actually. So as some of you said in the beginning, when I asked you the question, of course, you haven't come up with this on your own, you must have read it somewhere, but a contract is an agreement that has some legal backing. It has to have a legal backing, or it's not called a contract in the strict legal sense. So what do you think forms a contract? What are the essential ingredients in any contract in any jurisdiction, not just India? What do you think should be required for something to be called a contract intuitively? I'm not saying you should give the perfect legal answer. Say intuitively.
Consent,
Yeah.
Agreement.
Agreeing on same things in same sense.
agreement from both sides.
Okay. I hear agreement and consent. So you think there can be agreements without consent? Or is that the same thing?
No,
Okay.
Bhaiya, both the parties would be competent.
I'm sorry, could you repeat
Meeting of
yourself?
minds. Meeting of
Bhaiya,
minds.
both the
Meeting
parties
of
to be
minds.
competent. Yes.
Competent to contract. Okay. I'm not getting any intuitive answers because these are the things that are written in the law books. The only good thing
Bhaiya,
that I heard is
soundful.
consent. I need you to
Obligation.
use your own minds and not what you've read somewhere else. What do you think should be in an ideal contract now that I've defined what a contract is? And this definition
People
can
will
be found in
sue.
section 2H. Yes.
People will sue them if they don't fulfill their promises.
Okay, so you are saying that a contract necessarily involves some kind of consequences if there is a breach.
Yes.
Good. Good. Because that's the whole point of a contract, to be backed by law. That there are some consequences if you breach them.
Bhaiya, transaction of goods and services may be.
Okay, so you think that without goods and services you can't have a contract?
For example, Bhaiya, if I'm having life insurance, then that may be a contract because I'm taking services from a banker.
Okay, you're taking a service, but let's say you have a contingent contract saying that, okay, again, that's a complicated question for at this stage. But you believe that usually there is a transaction of goods and services, which is fair enough. To our eye, we just see contracts taking place in terms of financial aspects, like either there's a good or a service. Good, that's a good answer. Is
Sir,
there
lawful object?
again? I don't want you to say the legal things. I want you to say something that's very general.
Every
and
party
broad.
should get something in return.
Okay, something in return. So that something can be anything, or are there specific things that can be obtained by any of the parties?
Specific things.
Okay, what do you think those specific things are?
Things that law allows.
consideration.
Okay, I've categorically told you don't use those words that are used in the law books. Consideration is defined by the Indian Contract Act. You just say it in your own words. Explain what consideration is instead of saying consideration.
Like something in return for a service. If we say
contract
we are
cannot
into
be
a contract
tangible.
and
Contract cannot be tangible. Who said that?
Intangible.
Intangible. Why can't it be intangible?
Yeah. Because if it's backed by law, it needs to be tangible.
Okay, so I sing a song for you, you dance for me. That can't be a contract. Those are, neither of those are tangible things. I mean, you can have a situation where a singer
But
contracts.
how is it a contract?
Why is it not a contract?
I mean, how it is backed by law? I mean, if I won't dance, will you sue me?
If you write on a
Yeah,
stamp
that's what I'm
paper
saying. I
that
mean,
this is our
it needs to
arrangement,
be
that
written
okay,
now.
if it's for a media company, that okay, one media company will send you dancers, the other media company will send you singers. Now, those are two intangible things.
Bhaiya,
And
but you said
services
that if
in
we write
general
on a
are
stamp
intangible.
paper,
Services in general are intangible, and someone said that services are a part of contracts. Right? So this whole idea that contracts have to be tangible in nature to be valid in law, I don't think it is a good proposition. But you might argue to the contrary. Anyone else?
people should agree on same things in same sense.
Okay. Someone said consensus, meeting of the minds, which is right. All of this is right, but all of this is covered by the law books. And I think that we are coming from a place where we've actually read all of these things, and we're not on a tabula rasa, as they say, on a clean slate. We're not on a clean slate. We're colored by these half-baked notions of what a contract is, and I think that is not right. You should have the ability to set aside things and think on your own. But moving on, we are actually looking at the elements of a contract. No one said proposal. And proposal is a very basic thing that constitutes it, but you all moved on to consensus ad item, you moved on to the later stages, but no one spoke of the first stage, that there has to be a proposal to do something. So can someone read this for me and explain what is being said over here?
Bhaiya, proposal basically means to.
I asked you to read it aloud and explain what is being said.
May I read?
Yes.
When one person signifies to another his willingness to do or to abstain from doing anything, with a view to obtaining the assent of that other to such act or abstinences, he is said to make a proposal. मतलब बेसिकली ही सेइंग कि जब कोई एक इंसान दूसरे को मतलब कोई काम करने के लिए अपनी इच्छा प्रकट करता है या फिर कहता है कि मैंने वो काम नहीं करना, तो he is making a proposal.
ओके, तो आपने ये कहा कि आप प्लीज फोन अपने बंद कर दीजिए, बहुत अनोइंग चीज है। तो आपने कहा कि वो अपनी इच्छा प्रकट करता है।
Like he asks the other party for their consent कि अगर वो accept कर लेते हैं तो then it turns into agreement or sorry,
Okay, someone else, can you try explaining this? All of this is very complicated language, let me tell you. It's not that easy. So if you don't understand it, it's quite natural to not understand. कोई और जो
भैया,
हाँ बताइए।
it basically means to make an offer.
Okay. Okay. Explain. Give an example. You can't substitute terms with other terms that you are not making clear and expect people to understand. Give an example of what you're saying. What is an offer?
Yes, भैया. But for example, if a boy is going to a shop to purchase some toffees, then he is making offer from the shopkeeper to give him two toffees. So actually, he's making offer for two toffees. So
Okay, fine, but again, that is problematic, that example, and which is fine. I mean, I accept that you haven't read invitation to offer and all those concepts, but mota moti, you're right. Someone else would try to explain what is being said over here.
Yeah, can I answer?
हाँ जी, बताओ.
Suppose I go to a person X and tell them that I'm interested in buying their car. I will buy their specific car for a specific amount of money, and I will tell them that you give me a car and I will give you money. And if he agrees, then he has accepted my proposal. And when I told him I want to buy his car, that was a proposal.
Okay, good. So you have said that his willingness to do something. ना, इस example में not नहीं है. To do or abstain from doing anything. Abstinence वाला example दो. Abstain का मतलब क्या है और उसका example दो. कोई भी. Not just Chitrankshit, anyone.
Okay, bhaiya, I can answer that as well.
Okay. Can someone volunteer to explain what abstinence is in this situation?
Refuse the proposal of someone.
To refuse the proposal of someone. Then if you refuse that proposal, then you can't move ahead to acceptance of proposal. So you're saying that abstinence in this case means refusal of proposal when it is saying that it's a part of proposal. How can those two things exist?
Bhaiya, it means to refuse an offer, to refuse to make an offer.
To refuse to make an offer. No, it does not say that, because it says abstain from doing anything. It never said abstaining from making an offer. I mean, it can mean in another contract. You might pay someone money to not make an offer in another contract that is separate from this contract. But what you guys are
प्रपोज
not...
भैया प्रपोज करना कि वो ये काम नहीं करेगा.
Exactly. किसने बोला ये? आप अपना नाम बता सकती हैं?
शफक.
Okay.
शफक फातिमा.
थैंक यू. आपने परफेक्ट चीज बोली है इस चीज में. आप एक एग्जाम्पल के द्वारा इस चीज को एक्सप्लेन कर सकते हैं हमारे लिए?
जैसे भैया कोई एक हाउस कीपर है, वो गई काम के लिए, ओके, मेड है, वो अपना एक ऑफर मतलब वो प्रपोज कर रही है सामने वाले को कि मैं ये काम करूंगी और ये काम नहीं करूंगी. तो वो सामने वाला जो उसको एम्प्लॉय करेगा, उसके ऊपर है कि वो उसका जो प्रपोजल है उसको एक्सेप्ट करे या वो नहीं करे. जैसे वो मेड बोल सकती है कि हम कपड़ा नहीं धोएंगे, हम बस बर्तन धोएंगे. तो वो सामने वाले का है कि वो एक्सेप्ट कर रहा है कि वो नहीं कर रहा है.
ओके. तो क्या आप उसको उस एब्स्टिनेंस के लिए पैसे दे रहे हो या जो वो कर रही है उसके लिए पैसे दे रहे हो?
जो वो कर रही है उसके लिए देंगे ना.
पर एक एग्जांपल ऐसा दो जिसपे वो एब्स्टिनेंस के लिए आप पैसे दे रहे हो. आपकी आवाज सुनाई नहीं दे रही. आप
can I try?
Can I give one example?
हाँ, either one of you. I can't see your. Okay, on my screen we have Tia Jain also. So Tia, do you have something to say?
यस, अगर कोई बोलता है कि तुम ये क्लास मत करो, आई विल गिव यू मनी, तो वो हो गया एब्सटेन फ्रॉम डूइंग एनीथिंग, कि मतलब कुछ नहीं करने के लिए मुझे पैसे मिल रहे हैं.
ठीक है, परफेक्ट. ये बहुत ही सिंपल था. आपने नहीं, मतलब क्लास ने शुरुआत में बहुत कॉम्प्लिकेट करके आप बहुत सिंपल चीज पे आ गए, जो कि एक्चुअल मीनिंग है उसका. आप कोई चीज ना करने के लिए किसी को प्रपोज कर सकते हो और वो प्रपोजल आपके कॉन्ट्रैक्ट का बेसिक पार्ट बन सकता है. तो इज दैट क्लियर कि आप या तो किसी से कोई काम करवा सकते हो, मतलब आप कर सकते हो खुद, या आप नहीं भी कर सकते हो कि मैं चर्च नहीं जाऊंगा आज, ये भी आप कह सकते हो कि मैं चर्च नहीं जाऊंगा इस दिन पे। और मतलब वैसे बहुत सारे एग्जांपल्स हैं, मैं इस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में पार्ट नहीं लूंगा, मैं इसमें ये नहीं करूंगा। तो या आप कर सकते हो या नहीं कर सकते, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट डिस्टिंक्शन है, और एब्सटिनेंस का मतलब अभी क्लियर हो गया है। तो ओके, सो प्रॉमिस पे आते हैं। प्रॉमिस का कोई पढ़ सकता है अभी मेरे लिए?
Okay.
स्नेहा, स्नेहा आप पढ़ सकते हैं।
ओके भैया।
भैया फ्यूचर में
एक्सेप्टेंस
कुछ प्रपोज करने के लिए वो प्रॉमिस हो गया, फ्यूचर के लिए कुछ प्रपोज करना।
प्रॉमिस, फ्यूचर के लिए कुछ प्रपोज करना। आप इंग्लिश वाला लाइन पढ़ सकती हैं उस चीज के लिए जो कॉरेस्पॉन्डिंग है
Yes,
आप जो
भैया।
बोल रहे हैं। हाँ,
When a person to whom the proposal is made signifies his accent thereto, the proposal is said to be accepted. A proposal, when accepted, is called the promise. Okay, sorry, I didn't get that thing.
So it's not clear from, I mean, I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong. I'm saying that from what is being presented in front of you, that conclusion can't be drawn. So who else can try? Someone can try explaining proposal. I mean, it's not me that should be telling you all this, because CLAT is an exam where you have to learn it yourself, because these things will be given to you on the spot and you have to understand it yourself. So I'm not outsourcing my job to you. I'm helping you to understand things that are presented in front of you for the first time. I hope that's clear.
Can I try?
Yes, Mohita, you can try.
No, like if I go to someone and ask them to teach me, and I'm offering them, I'm making a proposal, and if they accept that proposal, then they have made a promise to me to teach me.
Okay, so an acceptance of a proposal is an acceptance of a proposal. I mean, you gave an example, but what is being said in this text? Can you make it more
ये
clear?
कह रहे हैं जो proposal.
I can't hear you.
May I continue?
Yes.
कि लाइक जिसे प्रपोजल दिया, अगर उसने एक्सेप्ट कर लिया, तो देन प्रपोजल विल बी ट्रांसफर्ड टू दैट प्रपोजल बी कॉल्ड प्रॉमिस.
I couldn't hear you. Your connection is a bit weak, I guess. Could you try to repeat yourself?
Is it clear now?
Yes, better.
I said that when this proposal
It's not clear. I'm sorry. You would have to try later. Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you. Someone else can try.
भैया may I?
Yes, you may.
May I?
Okay, who is speaking? Say your name also. I can't during the PPT. I can't. Yes.
Mishra.
Yes. Speak.
भैया अगर हम किसी के सामने कोई प्रपोजल रखते हैं और वो प्रपोजल हमारा एक्सेप्ट कर ले, तो वो प्रपोजल एक्सेप्ट करने के बाद वो प्रॉमिस बन जाता है.
अच्छा.
Can I try once again?
Yes, you may try.
With the same example.
Yes, Mohita,
when I said, yeah, if I go to someone and ask them to teach me, and they show willingness to teach me and accept my proposal, then that proposal becomes a promise, so that someone has made a promise to me to teach me.
Okay, fine, fine. So, do you have any doubts with what is being written over here, or everything is clear? No, not you, in the class, I'm saying. May I move ahead with consideration now?
Yes, भैया.
Yeah, sure.
when at the desire of the promiser से start करो. कौन पढ़ना चाहेगा? और बस पढ़ना नहीं है, एक्सप्लेन भी करना है साथ के साथ. स्नेहा spoke अभी recently, so Muttaqif can speak.
When it is at the desire of the promiser, the promisee or any other person has done or abstained from doing, or does or abstains from doing, or promises to do or abstain from doing something, such act of abstinence is called a consideration for promise.
Okay, what does this
मैं
mean?
तो बेसिकली ये स्टेटमेंट बोल रहा है कि जब प्रोमिसर के कहने पे दूसरा पार्टी जो है प्रोमिसी कुछ काम करता है या कुछ काम करने से होल्ड बैक करता है, तो उस चीज को हम कंसिडरेशन कहते हैं जिसके बदले में ये हो रहा है.
ओके ओके, सो प्रॉमिस के बदले में कोई कार्य हो रहा है या कोई चीज दी जा रही है या कुछ कोई इवेंट हो रहा है, चाहे वो पॉजिटिव सेंस में हो या नेगेटिव सेंस में हो, उस चीज को कंसिडरेशन बोला जाता है. राइट?
जी भैया.
ओके, तो आप नहीं, कोई और हैंड रेज कीजिए एक्सप्लेन करने के लिए विद एन एग्जांपल. शिवानी श्री, कैन यू एक्सप्लेन?
Yes, Bhaiya, I can explain it with an example.
Yes, explain.
Suppose Bhaiya, there's a person named Neha and she wanted to purchase a car from Shruti or anyone. Okay, so Shruti के लिए कंसेशन वो 10,000 रुपीज होगा क्योंकि प्राइस जो है वो 10,000 रुपीज है. एंड मेरे श्रुति के लिए कंसेशन वो 10,000 होगा मेरे लिए, और फिर जिसको वो दे रही है कार उसके लिए वो कार कंसेशन होगा. So consideration वहाँ पे श्रुति की रेट will be 10,000 and for the person who is purchasing उसके लिए वो कार होगा. That's simple and yeah, that's it.
So consideration से हमको ये समझ में आ रहा है कि लेन देन हो रही है दो चीजों की, मतलब दो चीजें या कोई कार्य भी हो सकता है, कोई कार्य को ना करना भी हो सकता है, बहुत चीजें आ सकती है इसमें. तो इसमें ये एक लाइन है, द प्रोमिसी और एनी अदर पर्सन हैज डन और एब्सटेन फ्रॉम डूइंग. तो ये एनी अदर पर्सन कौन है? कैसे ये हो सकता है कि एनी अदर पर्सन कैसे हो सकता है? When at the desire of the promiser, the promisee or any other person, तो कोई और डिजायर भी कर सकता है. ये आपने किसी ने नहीं सोचा कि ये कैसे हो सकता है कि कोई तीसरा बंदा डिजायर करने पे दो लोगों पे के बीच में कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हो रहा है, क्योंकि प्रोमिसर और प्रोमिसी तो हमको पता है, जो प्रॉमिस कर रहा है वो है प्रोमिसर, जो प्रॉमिस जिसको किया जा रहा है वो है प्रोमिसी. तो ये तीसरा बंदा कैसे आ सकता है?
May I try?
Who's this? No, I think Sneha has raised her hand for long. Sneha, can you try?
Over here.
Okay.
Actually, I got confused when you say that other person.
Okay.
How can a other person can be involved?
Okay. We'll get to that answer. So Muttaqif say.
Can we count agent as a third person here, like some another person?
That's a good question. Can agent be involved?
I had an example in mind.
Okay, Mohita.
I mean, like, I want to buy a property from someone through a broker, and that property belongs to someone else. So I am the promiser. I mean, sorry, I'm the promisee, and the broker is the promiser, and the third person can be the person which owns the property.
Okay. So the contract is between you and the broker, or you and the person who actually owns the property? ब्रोकर थोड़ी घर के डीड पे साइन करता है कि मैं बेच रहा हूँ. सेल डीड पे ब्रोकर का साइन थोड़ी होता है, जो ओन करता है उसका होता है.
Yeah, right.
Broker is kind of agent. Yeah, but the question is, can agent be this third person? Can someone else try? Try using your heads around this.
Bhaiya, if someone do the task on the behalf of a promisee.
Good, good. Yes. You're on the right track. You're on the right track. Explain what we said right now. On behalf of someone.
But if in a husband-wife relation, a husband can do any task on behalf of a wife, like can accomplish the promise.
Okay. Good point. Good point. We're going to get to that subsequently.
Can I try?
Yeah, try, Mohita.
Maybe if two people have agreed to get their children married, and one of them, the contract is between those two people, and one of their kids refuse, maybe in that case.
We'll get to that when we get to the legality of these kind of agreements. But can you give me like a financial example or a general example where such a scenario will happen?
Sir, may I say?
Ekta, I'm sorry, what did you say?
सर अगर मतलब मैं किसी कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट के पास जाती हूँ और उनसे मैं कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कर रही हूँ पढ़ाने के लिए एंड कोई मेंटोर मुझे पढ़ा रहे हैं तो ही कैन बी ट्रीटेड एज थर्ड पर्सन.
बट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट किसके बीच में हो रहा है इस केस में?
सर मेरे और कोचिंग.
भैया कैन आई गिव एग्जांपल?
ओके, चित्रांशित.
Bhaiya, I am a minor, so my father signs agreement on my behalf as my guardian.
This is a very good example. This is a very good example. कि किसी और के बिहाफ पे ये हो रहा है और ये लीगल भी है. ठीक है? Understood this, that बिहाफ पे किसी के कोई चीजें हो सकती है और वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट का पार्ट भी होगा और वो प्रॉमिसी या प्रॉमिसर जरूरी नहीं कि वो हो. जैसे सुनो, मैं एक बच्चा हूं, सब मैं अभी नहीं हूं पर एक जमाने में था. मैं मेरे डिजायर पे मैं कोई चीज खरीदूं जब मैं माइनॉरिटी में हूं. जैसे कोई चिप्स का पैकेट हो गया, मेरे पास पैसे नहीं है पर मेरी डिजायर है कि मैं खरीदूंगा उस पैकेट को, चिप्स के पैकेट को, पर पैसे मेरे पापा नहीं. तो इस केस में कंसिडरेशन कौन भर रहा है? You can answer the question, who is actually paying the consideration and who is desiring it?
You are desiring it.
Yes. So some other person can desire and some other person can promise to pay his part of, pay that guy's part of the contract, the consideration, and again the promise, and the promisee remains the same. So you can be a promiser on behalf of some other person who desires something to be done. Okay, is that clear? Is that making sense?
Yes, भैया.
समझ आया?
हाँ भैया.
Okay.
Bhaiya, can guarantee surety case be covered in this scenario or not?
वो तब आप पूछना मुझसे जब गारंटी और श्योरिटी के बारे में बात करेंगे हम, क्योंकि आप ये सारी टर्म्स, माइनर क्या है, माइनर एक इजी टर्म है समझने को, गारंटी और श्योरिटी वो दोनों एक एक क्लास है अपने आप में। तो अब उस क्वेश्चन को डील करना इज नॉट राइट, राइट? आई मीन आई एम नॉट डॉजिंग योर क्वेश्चन. Okay, so now is consideration clear? Does anyone have any doubts about consideration?
Bhaiya, can you please explain it again?
You can explain
Can you please explain it again?
Explain what part? The whole thing?
The other person wala part.
Other person वाला?
Yes.
अच्छा, ये एग्जांपल ले लो, 3 लोग हैं एक रूम में, ये एक काउंटर है, काउंटर के पीछे दुकानदार बैठा है और एक बाप और बेटा बैठे हैं, ठीक है? सुन रहे हो?
हाँ भैया.
हाँ, तो बेटे के मन में है कि वो चिप्स का पैकेट लेगा और वो ले लेता है, वो खोल लेता है, खा लेता है, ठीक है? पर बेटे से तो आप पैसे नहीं मांग सकते, बेटे के पास पैसा थोड़ी होता है, और लॉ भी नहीं मानता कि ये कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है बेटे के लिए। बट उसका बाप तो फिर भी पैसे भरेगा इस चीज के लिए, और वो प्रॉमिस करता है कि मेरा अगर बेटा कुछ डिजायर करता है और वो कर लेता है, वो खा लेता है वो पैकेट, वो मैं उसको फुलफिल करूंगा। So the promisee is not the child in this case. So the promiser is not the child in this case. It's the father, because the father promises to pay that, okay, if my son eats something, then I have to pay for it. And the promisee remains the dukandar. Is that clear, Tia? Or do you have any further doubts on that?
No भैया, it's clear now.
समझ आ गया ना आपको? तो ये एक छोटी बात थी कि अदर पर्सन कैसे हो सकता है, और ये एक एग्जांपल है। मेरे जहन में कोई और एग्जांपल्स अभी के लिए नहीं आ रहे हैं कि अदर पर्सन कैसे हो सकता है। तो मूविंग ऑन, प्रॉमिस हम समझ गए। हाँ जी, कौन बोल रहे हैं? कौन?
सॉरी टू इंटरप्ट यू।
हाँ
भैया, आपने जो एग्जांपल दिया उसमें वो वाइस वर्सा केस हो सकता है कि अगर फादर के बिहाफ पे उसका लाइक कुछ भी लेट्स से कोई डेट वगैरह है वो उसका सन पे कर रहा है, तो लाइक
again, that's a question that we'll deal with later. Because the law on these kind of debts in minority will be covered when I'll teach you the law of contracts governing minors.
ओके भैया।
Okay, मतलब okay, you can text me on the chat. I'll tell you separately because I understand where you're coming from, but I don't think this is the right stage to introduce that concept here. My basic idea was to say that another person can also be desiring something, right? And the law provides for that another person who is other than the promiser or promisee can be desiring something. So promise plus consideration is agreement. What do you understand by this? Someone can try. Sneha's hand is raised. Sneha, you may try.
ओके भैया, भैया प्रॉमिस कर दिया है और कंसिडरेशन मिल गया है, when these two things are together then it can be termed as agreement.
Okay, ठीक है, quite self-explanatory. Any complications in this? No. That both promise and consideration have to be present for something to be called an agreement in terms of the law. And I hope you guys read what I sent you on the group. And these are all those things that I sent. The first picture that I sent on the group covers all of these things. So these are all in the Indian Contract Act. And the final thing, that the agreement is enforceable by law, is a contract, is covered by section 2H of the Indian Contract Act. This can be asked as an MCQ in ALET or MHCET or all of these entrances, where static legal knowledge is asked. So remember this, section 2H is very important. Section 2H defines what a contract is for all purposes. All right. Now tomorrow, I mean not tomorrow, or next class, we will be discussing what kinds of contracts are enforceable by law. What this enforceable by law means. And now is the time that I take your doubts. If you have right now, you may ask from whatever we discussed about today. You may ask right now, not ahead of what we discussed today.
भैया कंसिडरेशन का मतलब बस मनी ट्रांजैक्शन से ही होगा क्या यहाँ?
मैंने डांसिंग वाला एग्जांपल दिया था ना, मीडिया कंपनी, दो मीडिया कंपनी एक इवेंट ऑर्गेनाइज कर रहे हैं, ठीक है, या दो सेपरेट भी कर सकते हैं. वो कह सकते हैं कि आप हमें अपने डांसर्स भेज दो, आप हमें अपने सिंगर्स भेज दो. ये भी एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हो सकता है, क्योंकि आप एम्प्लॉइज अपने आपके जो अंडर काम करते हैं, आप उनको भी आप कह सकते हो कि एज अ कंटिंजेंट दे कैन गो एंड परफॉर्म. सो दैट डज नॉट इन्वॉल्व मनी, राइट? और यू कैन ऑल्सो हैव अ सिचुएशन वेयर तू मेरा होमवर्क कर दे, मैं तेरा नहीं, होमवर्क कर दे तो चलो ठीक है, वो एक अलग उसमें चला गया. तू मेरा इलेक्ट्रिकल जितने इक्विपमेंट्स है वो ठीक कर दे, मैं तेरे लिए फार्मिंग कर दूं. ये भी एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है. अगर आप उस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट को लीगल इंटेंशंस में आप एंटर करना चाहें तो आप इस चीज को भी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बना सकते हैं. पर हम इस चीज पे आएंगे कि कंसिडरेशन का रियल मतलब क्या है, लॉ किन चीजों को कंसिडरेशन मानता है, किन चीजों को नहीं मानता है. तो it should be something of value. It can't be random things. It can't be things like in domestic relationships कि तू पापा को झूठ बोल दे इस बारे में, मैं मम्मी को झूठ बोल दूंगा इस बारे में. Between two, like a brother and a sister, that can't be called a contract in the legal sense, because it's a domestic relationship in which this is taking place. So we will be discussing what kinds of consideration are considered valid and what are not. But at the outset, I think you've understood the elements that form a contract. Now, can someone explain to me one contract, and in that one contract, ये सारे elements involved होते हैं?
May I?
Who's this?
Disha.
Yes, Disha, speak.
भैया जैसे अगर सपोज देयर इज अ बैंक और वो प्रपोज करता है कस्टमर को कि आप हमसे लोन लीजिए, ठीक है, एंड द कस्टमर वो एक्सेप्ट करता है उस प्रपोजल को कि ठीक है मैं आपसे लोन दूंगा और उसको इतने इंटरेस्ट पे मैं आपको रीपे करूंगा. नाउ थोड़े टाइम बाद उस कस्टमर की डेथ हो जाती है, एंड देन एनी अदर पर्सन लाइक उसका रिलेशन में कोई मतलब होगा, उसकी वाइफ है या उसका बच्चा है या जो भी है, और वो उस लोन को रीपे करता है.
Are you sure that loan does not die with the person? That you can transfer the liability onto someone else?
I'm sorry, I didn't get you.
I'm saying that you are saying that the guy died who took the loan. Right? And you're saying that his wife or his children are repaying that loan on his behalf. But
yes,
that thing presumes that the law recognizes those debts that you have not taken personally. क्योंकि the law is that, I'll tell you what the law is later, but your presumption is wrong that the law does not die with the death does not die with the death of a person. The death, DEBT, does not die with the death, DEATH, of the person. So that's a तो आपने complicate कर दिया इस चीज को डेथ लाके. मैं बस कह रहा हूँ प्रपोजल भी होना चाहिए, एक्सेप्टेंस ऑफ प्रपोजल भी होना चाहिए, कंसिडरेशन भी होना चाहिए और अग्रीमेंट होना चाहिए. मतलब प्रॉमिस और कंसिडरेशन है तो अग्रीमेंट है ही एक.
So may I?
हाँ, say. The girl can speak first.
Okay,
Whoever.
for example, भैया रामू है, रामू को उसका घर पेंट करवाना है. वो पेंटिंग कंपनी के पास जाता है, कहता है कि आओ मेरा घर पेंट कर दो. So he has made a proposal over there. कंपनी कहती है ठीक है हम आपका घर पेंट कर देंगे, तो वो एक्सेप्टेंस हो गया. कंपनी उसे कहती है हम 3 बंदे हमारे वर्कर्स आपके यहाँ भेजेंगे, तो वो प्रॉमिसी के बिहाफ पे हो गया. वो 3 बंदे उनके बिहाफ पे हो गए, वो जाके पेंट करते हैं. रामू pays consideration to them, and then the work which they are doing is legal work. They are not doing any illegal work, so that is enforceable by law, and then the contract is completed over here.
Okay, good, Sneha. This is a good example. Anyone else?
Sir, I have a problem.
Who is this? Avinav?
Sir, Avinav. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. So basically, I have a doubt. So my question is, without consideration, contract is also possible?
There are some kinds of contracts. Okay, we'll get into that later. But now, for now, the answer to you is that it's not possible. These are essential elements of a contract. They are very much inviolable. But there are certain kinds of agreements without there are certain kinds of situations without consideration that are recognized by law to have the force of a contract. Those things are called quasi contracts. We will get to that later. We are first dealing with general contracts. In a general contract, consideration is as important as all the other elements. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Any other doubt? Should I stop screen sharing? If you don't want to refer to these definitions.
Sir, can I ask something from those pages which are sent in group?
Okay, but is that from the first page or any other page? I sent you enough material for like 3 classes. So where is it from?
Okay, sir. This is from another page.
Okay. Today I'll be dealing with the first page because today's course material was with respect to the first page.
Okay, sir.
Any other doubts? You can give me a situation, an example, something that you feel that was not right that I said, that you can challenge me. Hanji, Sneha.
As you have said that money transactions are involved in a consideration. For the example that you had taken, that that dancers are coming and then singers are coming, so they are interchanging. So that involves barter system, which is somewhere not enforceable by law. So
who told you barter is not enforceable by law?
Actually, Bhaiya, it's not practiced in India in recent times. In currently, it's not practiced.
Widely practiced. It's not widely practiced, but that does not mean it's illegal. There is nothing that binds barter system. You can. I'll tell you one thing. My friend, he's a very rich guy. Okay. Anyone who's around Delhi NCR knows that the rates of land is very high in Delhi NCR. So this guy is from Gurgaon. He has some land somewhere near Gurgaon. Now, what he did was he got into a collaboration agreement with a builder. So now what they're doing is, as consideration for their land, they are not taking money. They are taking flats in certain towers that are being constructed. Okay. Now you are exchanging a good for a good. In that circumstance that I mentioned, you are exchanging a service for a service. It should be something of value, is the only standard that is there right now. And barter system is not practiced that frequently, but that doesn't mean that it's illegal and not enforceable by law if the intention of the parties is to enter into a legally binding relationship. Understood my example, Sneha, the collaboration agreement?
Yes, भैया.
समझ आया ना
Actually,
आपको?
I was
वो
in
क्या कर रहा है? वो अपनी जमीन दे रहा है बिल्डर को, तू वो खड़ा कर ले, टावर खड़ा कर ले, और उस टावर में कुछ फ्लैट्स है, वो मेरे को उसके बदले दे दे. तो आप पैसों का लेन देन तो नहीं करो, कैश ट्रांसफर तो नहीं हो रहा है, पर ये लीगल अग्रीमेंट है, ये परफेक्टली लीगल अग्रीमेंट है. इसको कोलैबोरेशन अग्रीमेंट बोलते हैं रियल एस्टेट में, कि आप एक जो जमींदार है वो कोलैबोरेट कर रहा है एक बिल्डर के साथ, टावर्स बना रहा है, वो पैसों का लेन देन नहीं हो रहा, फ्लैट्स और जमीन का लेन देन हो रहा है. समझ आ गया?
हाँ भैया.
ये एक मिसकंसेप्शन है कि बार्टर इलीगल है. बार्टर इलीगल नहीं है. तो आप गुड्स के बदले गुड्स एक्सचेंज कर सकते हैं. आपने तारक मेहता का उल्टा चश्मा नहीं देखा? किसने देखा है? आप
देखा है भैया.
देखा है. तो एक बार क्या होता है, वो कुछ जेठालाल जो होता है उसमें, वो उसकी एक पेमेंट ड्यू होती है. ठीक है. तो पेमेंट ड्यू होती है, तो बाघा जो होता है उसका जो चेला, वो क्या करता है, उसको जो जिसका पेमेंट ड्यू होता है वो उसको आम की बहुत सारी पेटियां दे देता है और वो अपने उसमें रख लेता है. आपने वो एपिसोड देखा है? जबकि जब तक जेठालाल का कंसेंट नहीं है, वो लीगल है कि नहीं है, वो बाद में हम डिस्कस करेंगे एजेंसी में. लेकिन ये एक परफेक्टली लीगल चीज है कि आप एक पेमेंट जो डेट था उसको आप unless the manner of payment is prescribed during the contract, you can exchange mangoes. I mean, you can give mangoes as consideration for that debt.
भैया अगर उसका कंसेंट नहीं हुआ तो, जैसे उसे मैंगो चाहिए नहीं उसके बदले में, then
हाँ, तब नहीं हो सकता, तब नहीं हो सकता. मैंने बोला ना कि हम बाद में आएंगे इस चीज पे, कि क्योंकि कंसेंट नहीं है तो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है ही नहीं ना. कंसेंट जबरदस्ती थोड़ी कर सकते हो कि भाई अगर वो स्पेसिफाई कर दे कि मेरे को इसमें ही चाहिए, बिटकॉइन में चाहिए, नहीं, बिटकॉइन इज नॉट लीगल टू. सो अगर वो स्पेसिफाई कर दे कि मेरे को कैश में ही चाहिए पहले से ही, तो आपको कैश नहीं देना पड़ेगा. पर इस केस में हो सकता है कि उसने मैनर ऑफ पेमेंट स्पेसिफाई ना किया हो पहले से, तो इसलिए ये हो सकता है. मैंगोज भी दिए जा सकते हैं. बार्टर सिस्टम इज नॉट
लाइक. हेलो, आई एम ऑडिबल?
या यू आर ऑडिबल.
भैया जैसे हम लोन लेते हैं तो उसमें जो कोलैटरल रखते हैं, तो जो बैंक होते हैं वो तो उससे करते हैं. अगर हम डेब्ट पे करने में डेब्ट नहीं पे कर पाते तो वो कोलैटरल से अपना
पर कोलैटरल कंसीडरेशन है,
पैसे दे देते हैं.
आपको लगता है कोलैटरल कंसीडरेशन है?
तो ये कॉन्ट्रैक्ट ये होता है ना कि अगर हम डेब्ट पे नहीं करते.
कॉम्प्लिकेटेड क्वेश्चन ये भी है, क्योंकि हम पता है क्या कर रहे हैं, हम सिंपल एग्जांपल्स अवॉइड कर रहे हैं. ये कोलैटरल कंसीडरेशन है या नहीं, ये भी एक, हम इस चीज पे इतना इजीली अराइव नहीं कर सकते.
ओके भैया.
क्योंकि क्या लोन अग्रीमेंट ये है कि मैं तुमको लोन देता हूं और तुम ये प्रॉमिस करो कि तुम फ्यूचर में इसको रीपे करोगे विद इंटरेस्ट, and if you fail to pay that, I will take your collateral and I will sell it off. So now I explained the whole what collateral is to you right now. Read what consideration is and decide for yourself. We'll discuss next class whether that is consideration or not. Yes, Muttaqi.
भैया मेरा एक डाउट था कि इलेक्शन मैनिफेस्टो जो होता है उसका लीगल एनफोर्सिबिलिटी कितना होना चाहिए, मतलब एज अ प्रॉमिस उसे कंसिडर कर सकते हैं या फिर अगर मतलब वो मीट नहीं होता तो
नहीं कर सकते। अच्छा क्वेश्चन है पर नहीं कर सकते। इलेक्शन मैनिफेस्टो आप कॉन्ट्रैक्ट आप दूसरे लोगों से क्या मतलब कह रहे हो? वो जब आप वोट देने जाते हो आपको लगता है वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है पार्टी के साथ कि वो कंसिडरेशन फॉर्म करता है?
नहीं भैया मैं कॉन्ट्रैक्ट का नहीं बोल रहा, वो तो पता ही चल रहा है कॉन्ट्रैक्ट नहीं है क्योंकि उसमें कोई ऑफर या एक्सेप्टेंस
लेन
वाला
देन
चीज
थोड़ी हो
नहीं
रहा है। मैनिफेस्टो दे दिया तो
हाँ,
उसके बदले में आप वो होता है, पर वो उस वजह से नहीं होता कि आपने मैनिफेस्टो में ये लिख दिया तो ही मैंने वोट दिया। बहुत सारी चीजें इन्वॉल्व होती हैं। It's not a contract. I mean, intuitively also it's not a contract, right? So it's not. You can't legally enforce an election manifesto. That आपने election manifesto में ये किया और आपने सरकार में आके वो करते, क्योंकि इलेक्शन मैनिफेस्टो आप तब साइन करते हो जब सरकार में नहीं होते, और जो आदमी सरकार में है ही नहीं वो ये अथॉरिटी के साथ थोड़ी कह सकता कि मैं सरकार में आने के बाद कुछ करूंगा। वो तो एक प्राइवेट सिटीजन की तरह बोलता है। आप उसको जब वो प्राइवेट सिटीजन था उस चीज के लिए अकाउंटेबल नहीं कर सकते ना, जब वो एक गवर्नमेंट ऑफिशियल या एक इलेक्टेड पोजीशन पे आ जाए, राइट? इज दैट मेकिंग सेंस? और यू हैव
जी भैया भैया मेरा क्वेश्चन ये नहीं था कि वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होगा या नहीं, मैं सिर्फ जानना चाहता था कि उसका लीगल एनफोर्सिबिलिटी कितना है, क्योंकि जैसे आप बोले कि वो एज अ प्राइवेट एंटिटी साइन करता है और बाद में गवर्नमेंट आता है, तो यहाँ पे कंटिजेंसी वाला पॉइंट भी तो हो सकता है कि अनफोर्सिन है कि वो जीतेगा कि नहीं।
I mean, even if you argue this, the law on elections expressly makes it to be clear that it's not enforceable, because there is no law that mandates you to enforce your election manifesto, right? कोई लॉ नहीं है इस चीज के ऊपर जो कहता है कि आपको एनफोर्स करना पड़ेगा, और जब तक ऐसा कोई एक्सप्रेस लेजिस्लेशन नहीं है आप उसको यू कैंट प्रिज्यूम इट टू बी a promise that is enforceable, because only those promises are presumed to be enforceable which fall within the Contract Act, and this clearly does not fall within the Contract Act. It's not
जी भैया क्लियर है।
But once you get into law school, you can write a research paper on this, on why it should be enforceable. And I wish you all the best that you get into the best law schools of the country. And it's a good research topic. I might steal it from you. I'm just joking. I'm not. I'll not. But you can make a case for it to be legally enforceable, because it's right. क्योंकि आप लोगों को कह रहे हो कि हम ये करेंगे, लेकिन आप सरकार में आने के बाद कुछ उसका पूरा विपरीत चीज कर देते हैं, तो ये गलत है। Anyone else? Rayas Das, are you an engineer?
भैया वो इंजीनियरिंग का थोड़ा कोचिंग लिया था,
अच्छा,
ऐसे ही पढ़ा हुआ है।
ओके ओके, गुड गुड। एडवोकेट कर दो उसका, एडीवी लगा दो। कोई और है जो कुछ किसी के मन में कोई शंका है जो आप क्लैरिफाई करना चाहते हो? Am I going too fast? You can tell me if I'm going too fast. If you feel that there is something that you need me to spend more time on, you can say that as well.
No, you are not going to.
Understanding everything?
Yes, भैया. Yes, भैया.
Yes, भैया.
So, no, speed is fine. It's totally okay. Are you happy with the kind of examples that are coming up, or do you want more simpler examples or more complicated examples? Or you can tell me what's on your mind. Oh, Prayas Das, change it to advocate. Thank you. Although you are not an advocate and neither am I. Yeah. कोई और डाउट्स है, कुछ है, आप बोल सकते हो अभी, या फिर मैं ये सेशन एंड कर रहा हूँ. ठीक है?
Yes, भैया.
Okay. Thank you for attending this class.
Thank you, भैया.
Thank you, भैया.
Yeah.
Thank you, भैया.
Thank you, भैया.
Thank you, भैया.